can you imagine the smell of soul herder?
What would Spore Frog smell like?
I don't know. I don't like amphibians.
I don't know if he is. Well, okay, he's a frog, not a fungus. He should be a frog fungus. Why is he not?
Have you smelled amphibians very much?
I mean, I haven't, because I don't like them. I don't want to be around them.
You don't want to put them up to your nose, rub your nose all over the... It'd like be rubbing your snot on something snotty, covered with snot.
Yeah. Ugh.
I wonder if the changelings all smell like jelly or just look like it.
Well, that's a good question.
I'm changing my answer again.
Ah!
What are you choosing, Nate?
I'm choosing to start the show.
Oh, no! Are we ready for that?
Let's find out.
Okay.
It's Commander Time! Welcome to Commander Time! We are yet another podcast about the Magic the Gathering format known as Commander. I am Nate Burgess.
I am Dean Goody.
And I'm Patrick Cipolla.
Today, we are talking about Modern Horizons. It's a new set. Well, depending on when you hear this episode coming out, it might be a new set still. We'll find out. But we're doing that because Dean would like to project the impression to other podcasters that we give a non-zero amount of about the timing of releases.
Commander Cast, I'm available for guest slots anytime. Call me.
Mm-hmm. But first... What's your top card? Let's see. Patrick, you did the interesting questions for this episode. What's the question? What's the top card?
I think it's very mundane.
Frankly speaking, sometimes choosing the best sorcery out of a set is boring to me because, it's always the kill spell. It's always the kill spell.
And in this...
Well, I guess last set it was the one that copies all the spells, wasn't it?
That was one of them.
It's still the kill spell, at least for me.
Yeah, okay. But anyway, top card that you think might smell good. The best card.
And you're talking about the art in the card.
Or are we going with cardstock?
Card.
I feel like the cardstock would all smell very uniform.
Yeah, I don't think they've done any scratch and sniff technology.
They tried to do that in one of the unsets, I believe, but they couldn't quite get it going.
Yeah, it was the second unset.
Because then if you were like a connoisseur of smells, like a professional nose person, then you might be able to mark your deck that way, so to speak.
Oh, I didn't even think of that, Nate. That is brilliant. I'm going to start spritzing my cards in perfumes and colognes.
Yeah. Yeah.
This Black Lotus smells just like tea leaves. And now is worth considerably less considering nobody can use it.
And I don't know why it's in my commander deck.
I swear I've read a manga where somebody was using smell of cards to cheat at poker or something like that.
That would be a thing that someone with Wolverine-like senses could probably pull off, yes.
Yeah,
I don't know if that person exists.
Well, next time we see Hugh Jackman at a Magic Fest, we'll know what he's up to.
Yes.
We will know exactly why Hugh Jackman is at a Magic Fest.
None of your tricks, Hugh.
So what's the top smelling card? What's a best stinking card?
Mine is going to be Weather the Storm. It's 1 and a green for an instant. You gain 3 life, and Storm. It's on the nose with its name, but frankly, I'm allergic to flowers, so Wall of Blossoms is not. I would imagine smells great, but I would just be breaking out and and not having a good time. But Weather the Storm. Who doesn't like a good after a thunderstorm smell or during the thunderstorm?
I love the smell
in
of
the middle
thunderstorm.
of it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I love the smell of flowers in the morning. Wall of Blossoms is probably a contender. Weather the Storm is that's interesting. Dean, what's your pick? I think I'm going to go in a different direction, but go ahead with your pick, Dean.
Sure. Okay. I'm gonna pick Winds of Abandon, which incidentally is one of my favorite cards in the set. But the art depicts a giant storm of looks like cherry blossom petals. So I would imagine that smells pretty good. You know, as you're being whisked away to another zone that you might not want to be in, but still, I'm sure it's a very pleasant olfactory journey.
Yeah. Hopefully, it smells better there.
Mm-hmm.
So my pick, I was kind of hungry when I read the question, so I was looking at cards I was looking in the mono red cards for anything that had burning meat, and I didn't really find anything, but I think a Sword of Sinew and Steel might be the closest to what I'm trying to go for. Because it's like it's like a chopping sword for chopping up meat, and there's little flecks of blood stuck to it, so maybe it hasn't been cooked yet. Maybe we're eating sushi with a giant sword of sinew and steel.
I'm down for it.
Which doesn't really smell like much, but it probably smells like, wasabi and soy sauce and maybe a little ginger.
It's got a coppery tang to it.
Yeah.
Mm-mm-mm.
So
now I'm hungry, Nate. Thanks.
Yeah, so the vegetarians might disagree with me because they like flowers, but I'm kind of hungry.
I'll bet the first sliver smells either terrible or amazing. Just because...
Oh, it smells like a baby's head.
Yeah.
Because it's the first one.
Could definitely smell like that. I could see that happening.
I would... Of creatures or planeswalkers, I would imagine Renin 6 smells pretty good too. Just because he's a tree.
Probably, yeah. I would think so. They're a tree. They're half tree. They're Renin 6.
Yeah.
Which one is which?
Ren is the dryad, and 6 is her tree folk mech
suit.
Yeah. It is her 6th mech suit.
Oh, okay. So there's 5 other ones that are in the shop somewhere?
Presumably.
She's the Iron Man of the Gatewatch.
Yeah. So there's some little secret cove somewhere where there's like 5 other trees in different, slightly different colors, but mostly the same design.
It kind of looks like she's burning through 6. So I'm wondering if she slowly destroys the mech suits that she wears, and this is just the 6th one that she's melded with. We know very little about Ren 6, unfortunately.
Yeah, that would be inconsiderate to the suits.
It would be, but she names them numbers, so I kind of feel like she doesn't consider them very much.
You have a point.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Also, if they're mech suits, trees don't generally live for long when they're not connected to the ground.
Yeah.
I think tree folk might have different rules, but that's a fair point generally.
Yeah.
So what's our topic today? Oh, we already covered that when I was trying to make us relevant.
Yeah, we're talking about cards of Modern Horizons. We're a Commander show, but we're talking about a set that talks about Modern. Why does it talk about Modern? Why is Modern in the name? Is it that important?
Yeah, let's not make the joke that everybody else makes, though. Let's not make that joke.
Okay.
We're better than that, Nate.
I don't know about that. Go ahead.
The main topic.
Well, I mean, yep.
Okay, those were syllables.
Yeah, they were. I actually just was staring at Hex Drinker thinking, I'm thirsty.
Should we... So, as we alluded to earlier, we didn't really prepare a whole lot of notes in our, own particular idiom. Should we tackle this alphabetically? We could just pull up the list and go down the line.
Well, I'm want to talk about my pre-release of...
we could definitely talk about our pre-releases before we get into the actual cards.
Okay,
yeah.
do it.
So my pool was really crappy with the exception of 3 cards.
Oh, did you do sealed or draft?
Sealed.
Okay, all right, yep.
I always feel like I would be able to leverage my deck building abilities better in a sealed pool than a drafting environment. I have a hard time reading the signals in draft. That's for sure. I always end up in the color that I'm not supposed to be.
Oh darn!
Yeah, I don't care about signals in draft. I care about grabbing the cards that I want for commander decks.
Yeah, and the 3 cards that like were amazing. First one, Scrapyard Recombiner. That's just a great little 3 mana 0/0 with modular 2. And you can sacrifice him to get a construct. I'm very happy I opened him. He's going right into Brea. Because there's a lot of constructs in there, as it turns out.
Artifact creature shenanigans.
Yeah. Plus, I can make something bigger. Or I can sacrifice other things to get other constructs. He's very versatile, and it's nice. The next card that was really, really good for me, Sword of Truth and Justice.
Oh.
I got one of the swords in my pool. That was pretty cool.
Nice.
Yep. So, 3 mana, +2/+2 pro, white and blue. Sadly, was not actually relevant until my last match, where I didn't play any white or blue players until my last match. But the ability of whenever a equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, put a +1/+1 counter on a creature you control, then proliferate, was great. Especially when the creature it was attached to was Yawgmoth.
Does Yawgmoth do stuff with counters?
He sure do.
Wow.
But, yeah. So Yawgmoth, Thran Physician, 2 black. Legendary creature, human cleric. If you haven't heard of Yawgmoth, what are you doing listening to our podcast? Because I feel like you would learn about Yawgmoth before you would learn about our podcast, for the most part.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the news is already out.
Yeah,
Patrick's going to finish reading him anyway, though.
Yeah, he's a 2/4. He has protection from humans. He has pay 1 life, sacrifice another creature, put a -1/-1 counter on up to 1 target creature, and draw a card. That's a lot on one ability, and I routinely forgot to draw a card when I was sacrificing other creatures.
Oh, you don't want to do that. Mm-mm.
No. When I realized that I was forgetting parts of it, I was sad. But he also has black, discard a card, proliferate. So that was a very nice combo, but it turns out it's really hard to sacrifice a lot of other creatures when you don't have enough creatures in your pool.
That's a problem. So how'd you do? Did you make it through?
Oh, I lost every round I played.
Oh no!
I won 1 game.
Oh no!
Yeah, I had 11 creatures, and that was the most amount of creatures I could get out of my pool.
Oh,
without splashing into 3rd and 4th colors.
Oof, ouch.
Further splashing into 3rd and 4th colors.
Sub-ideal. Nate, did you play any limited for this set yet?
I have not. I've been playing Fallout again a little bit.
Oh no. Nate fell out into a Fallout hole. I did a draft event for this, actually, and I drafted White-Black Changelings. It was originally going to be Mardu Slivers, but the 3rd color proved to be really hard to run, so I just went White-Black Changelings, and it was a beast. I went 3-0. Changelings are really strong.
Yes, they are. I always was looking for the changelings I could get, but again, when you're drawing lots of not creatures, and then what creatures you do draw, you're sacrificing because you need to handle the board in front of you.
Yeah.
I mean, when it worked, it was beautiful. Don't get me wrong. I just wish I had more to do with it.
Absolutely. All right, should we cut into some cards here?
Well, you just mentioned changelings, so let's start with the Morrowphone. Quick to the Morrowphone. Sure, that works. Morrophon the Boundless. It's a 7, cost 7, generic mana. Legendary creature shapeshifter 6/6. It's a changeling. It's every creature type, and so is your deck. Because as Marofon the Boundless enters the battlefield, choose a creature type. Can be anything. You can put anything in there. Spells of the chosen type you cast costs. Wooburg, less to cast. It reduces only the amount of colored mana you pay. And other creatures you control of the chosen type, whichever type you chose the last time this guy came out, they get +1/+1. So the rest of your deck is going to have, you're going to want creatures that have certain types of mana costs. Like the ones that you don't put in the Rakdos, Lord of Riots, and the Animar Soul of Elements because they have too many colored pips in their mana. This deck, you want to put those creatures in. And probably you want to put a bunch of them in of kind of the same creature types. That would probably help.
Yeah, Morphon is cool. I think he will be immediately popular, and I think he'll probably hang on to that popularity. There's a lot of really weird fringe tribes out there. I know the one guy out in, the sticks is absolutely cackling that he now has a commander for his eye deck.
Number 3.
Yeah, so if there's any creature tribes out there that don't really have a commander yet, well, now you kinda do. For a while, until they print a real one for you.
And even established tribes might like him. I mean, reducing the cost of cards is pretty decent.
Yeah, and I think he'll go in a lot of decks. I think Slivers, in particular, have a good mana cost profile of a lot of colored pips and not that many, not generic in their mana cost. I'll have to double check, but I think a lot of them are, like 2 colors.
Yep,
and
you're right on the
low
money.
Mana cost. Yeah.
Yep.
So as long as you have creatures with that mana profile and you have some way of maybe drawing a new card when you cast a creature, then in that situation you can just kind of poop your whole deck on the board.
I could see him being the commander of a god tribal deck.
Sure.
Elemental wouldn't be too bad.
Yep, there are elementals in all 5 colors. All kinds of good stuff.
And since I said the word sliver in the past 2 minutes, somebody read the sliver card.
The legendary sliver card?
Whichever one you want.
All right.
All right, I choose Imposter of the 6th Pride.
Whoa. That's a sliver. Okay, so we have the first sliver. As soon as I can find it. Here it is. It costs white, blue, black, red, green. 5 mana. It's a 7/7 legendary sliver. It has Cascade, so when you cast it, you exile cards on the top of your deck until you hit a non-land card with less converted mana cost and play that also. And then it says that sliver spells you have also have Cascade. So you just kind of flip through all your slivers. Hooray.
Yeah.
It's it reminds me a little bit of Sliver Overlord, except he was a tutor, and this one is kind of just like more random, explosive, like, what kind of crazy mess am I going to poop onto the board? Is it going to have haste and get +1/+1/1 and kill you right now? Maybe. Maybe they'll just make mana, and they can sacrifice to draw a card.
Yeah.
Yeah, but, why would you... I'm like, in my mind, you don't actually replace Overlord with him, with first sliver.
Because you want to tutor him?
Yeah, you just tutor for the sliver.
I see your point. But, the Sliver Overlord suffers from, the tutoring commander problem, i.e., Sisay and also
Vannevar.
new Sisay and all of them. Where you kind of just chain along the correct cards. I actually currently have Sliver Overlord, and I'm planning to swap him out for the first Sliver just because I like the element of, like, chaos. Like, it's still going to be absolutely crazy, and I will probably still kill you right now, but maybe not. Let's find out.
But you don't want to have to memorize a flowchart.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah, I'm looking at the first Sliver. I'm thinking of, you'd put Yidris in there and Arcane Adaptation to turn Yidris into a sliver. Or, Maelstrom Wanderer in there and you turn it into a sliver. Just tribal hack everything to be slivers. And then
Yeah.
cascade everything out. No tutoring. Don't be tutoring. That's for optimal players.
I wish I liked slivers more.
Yeah,
Man,
you do have to like slivers to play this guy.
All right. We already covered Yawgmoth Thrawn Physician. What other legendary creatures do we get in this set?
They
Patrick?
reprinted Kess. We like Kess, right?
We do like Kess.
Okay. Hey, they reprinted Crypt
Yeah.
Rats, and that's honorary
Yeah.
legendary around here.
I
Definitely.
love crypt rats.
Sisse, Weatherlight Captain?
Yeah.
That's more tutors.
It is more tutors. Yep. It's a little bit interesting in that you kind of have to do some prep work to do the kind of tutoring that you want. She can only get stuff with CMC less than or equal to her power. Is that right? She's right here. Here we go. 2 and a white for a 2/2 legendary human soldier. She gets +1/+1 for each color among other legendary permanents you control. You can pay Wooburg to search your library for a legendary permanent card with CMC less than Sisse's power. Put that card onto the battlefield and then shuffle your library. So she starts out by getting very tiny things, and then as your the number of legendary permanents you control grows, she gets progressively larger.
Up to a 7/7.
Up 7. Yep.
What's that?
Up to a 7/7.
Up to a 7/7 without artifact or other buffs.
Nope. 7/7 is gonna be the biggest. Well, just by herself anyway.
Yeah, I'm saying without like equipment or
So
anthems.
up to a 7/7 by herself.
Yes, up to a 7/7 by herself.
And other creatures that have colors.
Or permanents.
Okay, so Sisse Weatherlight Captain, she starts out as a 2/2, and in most situations she'll get up to a 7/7 unless you put more stuff on it.
I think you're probably trying to put more stuff on her. It's probably a little bit easier to just get the chain going that way. But again, I probably wouldn't even run it.
Oh, then why are you talking about it?
Because we mentioned it, and then we just had to talk about it. Let's talk about Pashalik Mons. Pashalik Mons is much more... I mean, it's just as linear, but it's still more interesting because it's mono-red.
Pashalik Mons? You mean the legendary creature Goblin Warrior that's 2 and a red? And
Yeah,
it's a
that-
2/2, and when Pashalik Mons, or another goblin you control dies, Pashalik Mons deals 1 damage to any target. So it's Goblin Bombardment? Little
Only.
goblin-specific bombardment.
Yeah.
And you can pay 3 and a red to sacrifice a goblin to make 2 more goblins.
I mean, it does the one thing, turn 1 goblin into 2 goblins and then do that a bunch of times.
Right.
So that's cool.
It's the circle of life.
It's
It's
the
like
circle.
every goblin is 2 smaller goblins in a trench coat.
Ad infinitum.
It's goblins all the way down.
All the way down.
Yeah.
Speaking of commanders that I will probably never run, how about Urza, Lord High Artificer?
Can we just devote as little time to him as possible? Yes, he's powerful, but he's also so boring.
Hey, you like
Yeah.
you like mono blue decks? Are they fun to play with in Commander? Do you like artifacts and you haven't done enough artifact stuff? Here's a dude.
Yep, there he is. Okay, let's talk about Hogak. Hogak is more interesting than Urza.
Yeah.
But before
Yeah.
we finish with
Okay.
Urza real quick, I just want to say, when I see a body that is a 1/4, I expect Death Touch on a creature.
In mono blue, you do?
I don't care what color it is. If it's a 1/4, it should be a Death Touch creature.
Get
That's
your
just the way it
expectations
works.
back under control there, Patrick. You're out of your lane. Hogak? Whose turn is it to read a thing?
Patrick's.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I guess
speaking
it's
of
mine.
commanders that require some setup to play,
Hogak. He's green. He's black.
Mm-hmm.
You can actually spend. He also costs 5 additional, but here's the rub. you can't actually cast mana or use mana to cast him. Period. So how do you play this this 8 avatar? Well, the answer is he has Convoke and Delve, ways of reducing the cost down to nothing, and that's how you cast him. And you may also, cast him from your graveyard.
Without spending
that's less
mana.
exciting.
And he's an 8/8 with trample, so you just have to hit somebody 3 times and they're super dead.
Yeah, I see this kind of along the same lines as Ormondal. The Westvale Abbey card that it requires some other creatures first, some other little dudes to set it up so that you can even use them in the first place.
Yeah, I think ironically you're actually running like Llanowar elves and stuff, but you're not tapping them for mana, you're tapping them to pay the convoke cost so that you can cast them.
Yeah, but they can't tell the difference. They're still tapping and things come out.
Sure, but you're technically, according to the game rules, you're not tapping them to produce mana.
So you wouldn't be running Arbor Elf.
You could run Arbor Elf
actually
and
might.
tap it as a green creature, yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But yeah, Hogak is cool. You could take Hogak in a couple different directions. You could take him in a tokeny direction. You could take him in a pure value direction and try to cast him mostly with Delve. He's interesting. I'll give him that. And he's hybrid, which is super cool.
Yeah, it still requires some convoking, though, because you can't delve away color.
Correct. Yeah, you do need 2 creatures out, but I mean, you're in green, so that's not hard.
Pair of grave robbers to dig around and steal 5 more bodies from your graveyard, so they can pick all the gold out of the teeth and throw it in the ritual fire so that Hogak shows up. Yeah.
Yep.
Is that it? Is that how it works?
That's you, Nate. Bravo. You got it.
Cool.
All
right.
We have
So
one,
now I
one
gotta-
more legend. You got it?
Oh, we do?
Yeah. Come on, Patrick. Get down with Ayula, Queen of the Bears. Queen among bears.
Oh yeah.
I
forgot about
for
that.
1 and a green, a bear's cost. You get a 2/2 bear, which is what a bear is. Whenever another bear enters the battlefield under your control, choose 1. Put 2 +1/+1 counters on target bear, or target bear you control fights target creature you don't control. So, I mean, that's cool for bear players, right? But it's kind of a meme deck, really, I think.
Yeah.
Would you guys agree with that assessment?
Listen, everyone always talks about this Bear Force 1 deck, but it's not the way I would build the deck. I'm just saying.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So tell us how you would build this deck.
Mine would be called The Right to Arm Bears. It would be an equipment and bear deck.
Okay.
Yep, that's the only difference.
Okay. But when the bear, you can't put the equipment on the bear before it shows up and fights things. So.
Listen, I'm not saying this is Right to Arm Bears has been a deck idea of mine since long ago. Since I ever saw Werebear.
The words appeared in your mind in that order.
If you have Brass Squire on the battlefield and your equipment, you can respond to Ayula's trigger to arm the bear and then have it fight.
Is Brass Squire a 2/2?
Yeah, I think it actually
it's
might.
a
No,
1/1.
Is it? No, it's a 1/3. I think.
Squire. It's a 1/3. So Brass Squire is not a bear, Dean.
But it is an armor.
Ooh, you got me there.
Mm-hmm. It does that thing. All right, that's all the legends from the set. Should we?
All right, so I got a question for you guys.
Oh, okay.
Find out what the question is on the next
Commander time.
Oh! Before I forget, do you mind if we re-record our little ending bit where we do our Twitter thing? I want to add a little plug for a daily EDH if I can.
All right. visit us on Patreon at patreon.com/commandertime, or find us on Twitter at commandtime.
You can find me on Twitter at grubfellow, where I tweet using the hashtag dailyedh every day.
And you can find me at Detective Yarmus, and I tweet almost never. You can cut that part.
That's fine.
And I'm at Mr. Plorg.